Be ready for my arrival, Worm.
We were not ready for his arrival. We were not ready.
Yeah, we were not ready. Conquest has arrived. Guys, we are
Who
back.
Is he arrived for? Who is he arrived
Right.
for? He's arrived for.
Final episode of season 3. These are the last episodes of this season, but we know season 4 will be coming. Been greenlit as well. But again, this is conclusion, which I will say is probably the greatest season of Invincible to date. My personal opinion, I think this is the greatest season so far that they have put on Prime Video. But Conquest arrives after the events of the Invincible War, and he is voiced by the great Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Negan from The Walking Dead and other franchises, The Boys, other stuff like that. And almost like almost a spiritual rematch between him and Stephen Yeun.
They knew what they were doing. The moment they got Jeffrey into this, they were like, hey, just so you remember, our main character is voiced by Steve, and he's like, say less.
Right. Little pig, let me in.
Yeah.
But yes, this was pure devastation. Conquest came and was not a disappointment at all. I mean, I know the story point was coming, but I didn't know because the question was, I didn't know they were going to do both Invincible War and Conquest in the same season. But knowing where they end off is like no. They had to do Conquest, just to wrap up this season. Was again the breath of fresh air in terms of pacing of Mark and basically all the other characters that was in this show, because we get to a point where now that some characters we have are lost, some of them are they now transitioning to new points in their life. We have Robot now calling himself Rex after Rexplode passed away, but also characters mentally migrating into a more evolved version of themselves. Mark, it's like saying, hey, listen, I'm not going to do this anymore. Anybody mess with anyone I love, I'm going to kill him, and that's it. So we'll see how this goes, though. But then yet what Invincible fashion, we get the wrap up of other story beats that will lead us into the season 4. Battle of Beasts is still alive. You still got that alien infestation from Mars now in the sewers.
Mark has been through enough. He's been through enough at this point, and every fight, especially within this season, just keeps pushing him down and down into the freaking dirt with how much shit he's got to deal with. Literally just went through a war where he had to fight variants of himself and Angstrom, to then having to fight was probably the strongest, at least for now, those who know, but the strongest Viltrumite he's ever had to face before. Stronger than his father, stronger than Anissa, like stronger than any of the others he's dealt with. And this is also a Viltrumite who is, let's talk about Conquest. He is literally a force of nature. And that's by design. Again, his name is freaking Conquest, and even he says himself, he has no purpose other than that. You put that against Mark, and it's like,
how was that scene? Like, to me, that completely threw me off. But I felt was like, oh, it was like the icing on the cake in terms of the fact that he grabbed him, and it's like, I am so lonely. I don't have a name after destroying everybody.
Literally, that felt so out of place. But I can also see where he's coming from as well, which is weird because like we don't really see how. I mean, Viltrumites stay young for like a while, but it's like based on his design, the age, the graying of the hair, is like this dude has been through thick and thin. And honestly, this sounded like the words of a man who was just ready to end it. And he was like, maybe, hey, they want me to take over. They want me to make sure Invincible's doing his job, and if not to kill him, that means that this guy might be just as strong as me, maybe stronger. Maybe he's the one that can end my torment in some sense. It sounded like the words of a man just ready to go. It felt out of place in the moment, but now thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, no, he was ready for Mark to kill him. He needed Mark to kill him because he was just tired.
Well, and not only that, I mean, it's interesting to see the ramifications again of the Viltrum Empire, because we know they're very limited, as much as not supposed to say there's only like less than 50 of them. But to see this is like, okay, I mean, I read the comics and stuff, so I'm intrigued to be like, okay, if Jeffrey Dean Morgan is playing Conquest, I'm like, who's playing Thrag? Like,
oh god. Well,
because like at this point, you have to have Thrag in season 4.
Yeah.
Like you have to, because Anissa showed up. No, first Nolan failed, Anissa showed up, and then Conquest showed up, and still nothing happened. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, hey, you know, Earth was on a full priority. Say, hey, finish this and stuff. And even then, Conquest thought Nolan was dead, and it's like, no, he's not dead. Yeah, because I just know what the story beats that they have laid for season 4. It's like, again, it's still gonna be interesting, but because now we're actually gonna get to the plot of actually how we're going to get this and not move from the Invincible War to like the Viltrumite War.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see that. But like, no, I thought Conquest was he did his name justice in terms of like for this final episode, but also like even to a point of revealing new things, like in terms of almost killing Oliver and stuff, but Oliver still like jumping in to save his brother, and then Eve at the same time being just a devoted partner. She thought she died, but then she got revived by her own power. If you watched the Adam Eve special, like it's a trigger that happens when this character dies and everything, that they'll get revamped. So basically she's immortal, but that's a whole nother thing. She doesn't know that yet, but we do.
We do. Again, comic fans, this ain't gonna be the last time. This ain't the first, and it ain't gonna be the last time we see this.
Right. So, but aside from that, like again, afterwards, Mark had to realize and say, hey, is Conquest dead? And he saw the body, which was a fake body. And then thinking that Cecil just like, hey, listen, we're gonna save him. And once he heals back, it's like, hey, if he moves, this entire place is gonna explode. I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna work. No, but like thinking like he wants to know all the information about the Viltrum Empire, which I think is necessary at this point, because you can't blame Mark not knowing all he knows and stuff, but that he's like, okay, I want to know from the source. If he's alive, I'm keeping him so we can still keep tabs on this though. But I'm not disappointed that we didn't get Nolan and Alan really in this episode at all. I think they served the purpose. Like, he got out of prison and that was it, and we got the knowledge that one battle beast escaped, but also there's less than 50 Viltrumites, and that's it. We get, because I know where they're going for season 4, like in terms of moving the plot, like that's going to be a very Nolan centric, like more like a reunion.
A very big reunion. Like, for anybody who was a little upset that there wasn't as much Omni-Man, or I guess even Alan in this season as there was like last season, or obviously season 1, there's a reason for that. When we get to season 4, we'll see them again. We're gonna see a lot of the the revolution against the Viltrum Empire. Like, again, that's the next big story arc. It's coming. Like, we just got Invincible War, but it's not going to take long for the Viltrumite War to happen next. I don't know if it'll happen specifically next season, but it's definitely leading into that.
Yeah, I don't see it happening in season 4. I think they're gonna. Well, anyway, we're going more into season 4 speculation on this, but like, because also you see also returning new heroes that still have no lines or dialogue whatsoever because they haven't been casted. Like Tech Jacket.
But definitely going into next season, I feel like we will start getting them, because again, characters like Tech Jacket or others that we start to
Yeah.
that we saw during the Invincible War are also major players in the Viltrumite War as well. So they're gonna have to get voices at some point.
Yeah. But aside from this, like everything that Mark gone through is like it took him all to this point of nearly losing people to him to realize, you know what, because it actually dive in more to his Viltrumite heritage and everything. Because listen, at this point, the fact that he even beat, like, yes, he had help from Eve, but that season one Invincible wouldn't be able to beat Conquest at all. But I think it's just showing this, his strength that has improved, but also that he's truly is becoming, invincible, into his name. But I also, you also see Angstrom, actually his arm is, it got fixed and stuff. Apparently the alien doctors, whatever. They basically have.
I'm trying to remember the name, but yeah, like they fixed them up, and again, as I said, we're not done with that storyline because now they're like, oh, you want a new home? They're like, no, we want much more than that. This is the beginning of a long friendship to Angstrom, and again, we'll get back to him later, but yeah.
But honestly, I don't think to me this was a satisfying final episode. I don't think that, to me, I felt there was nothing left on the cutting room floor, in my personal opinion, aside from you want to make small Easter eggs that you don't really need to. Could it even they even cut some fat in terms of the dialogue, like certain lines were there verbatim quoted, from the comic, but that panel and him biting into Conquest and spitting him out like that, they kept that. I'm glad they kept that. But yeah, and him breaking his arm and all that stuff. But I don't know what, in terms of the future, how they're going to do certain story points, because now we're going to move into a very more mature story, but not talking about just terms of deaths, but actual things in people's lives that that I actually agree with. It's almost kind of like, Young Justice, you're maturing with your audience. Because 2020 was almost 5 years ago. And stuff. Well, it came out in 2021, I believe, right?
It was 2021 that it came out, and then I think it was 2 years later that season 2, which was last year, and then now this year.
Yeah, now I know it's not going to be another season long, break from this and stuff, but it'll come out probably 2026, late or whatever, because they already, I believe they should be editing, stuff already at this point. But so could they learn from their lesson? But I think just this entire
no season break.
This entire season, to me, I think this season actually saved this show from going to multiple, beyond 4 or 5 seasons. Or at least I see the road to, okay, we get to 5 seasons, right? I can see road for that. Now we'll see how the momentum increases, so we can get to probably 6, 7, 8, whatever. I think Kirkman was talking about he wanted to probably do 8, which at this point will kind of cover. But also, I don't know if there's potential for spin-off shows too. Because I don't know if other characters are as popular as, aside from Invincible. Again, Tech Jacket has his own storyline. The werewolf character from the last episode that was fighting Viltrumite Mark, he has a storyline. But it just, again, is it necessary? No.
I mean, I feel like if anything, maybe the only ones who especially for what's coming up, the only other character that maybe would require that would be Tech Jacket. Again, especially given his storyline, I feel like his would definitely be required. But I feel like if we get anything, it's going to be similar to the Adam Eve special, where it's one thing that's maybe an hour or 2 combined that just goes through everything you need to, and then we go into the next season of Invincible. I don't see them doing anything past that, because the Adam Eve special was good for what it was and giving us Eve's backstory before we got season 2, literally coming out when season 2's trailer was dropped and everything. So it's I feel like if anything, maybe Tech Jacket will get one before next season, or maybe right after next season, going into again the Viltrumite War. But that's to be seen. That's to be seen what Amazon and Skybound want to do.
But yeah, in terms of final rating for this season or for the episode, I give this an A, like a strong A. I don't feel like there's any episode here that I felt was weak. I saw one of our friends. He basically gave one of the episodes like, oh, this, it was a filler episode. But like me personally, I don't feel like none of the episodes were filler. I think they paced it out, in a way that give you, preparing you for what you saw here and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we're eating good for like superhero television. We're in a strong point that I feel like we haven't really been in a while.
Yeah.
So it's good to be that, because this time last year we were going through X-Men 97, and stuff. So it's just nice to see that we at least keep that momentum, but just with different forms of shows and everything like that. So but yeah, any final thoughts in terms of the season? Are looking forward to season 4 kicking?
I just gotta say, I agree with like an earlier statement in saying that this season single-handedly, I think, revived huge major interest into the show, because the show gained interest with its first season, obviously, but I feel like the second season, whether it be because of the seasonal break or people just either not knowing it came out or not really paying attention, it was starting to dwindle. But seeing the reactions to this season up to this point, and seeing the fan response and being like, yeah, these stories are a lot better now, it's getting crazy, oh my god, I can't believe we're killing these characters off and everything, or we're going through all the, or if, again, as you said, much like I said with X-Men 97, much like I have been saying recently with Daredevil Born Again, and much as I will say with this show, Invincible is growing up with its audience. And even though it hasn't been that long that this show has been a thing, only like 4 or 5 years, it's maturing, and it's gonna get even more mature as Mark, Eve, and especially Oliver and Nolan and all these characters grow up, because they're not teenagers anymore. And hell, Oliver ain't even gonna remain a teenager for long. Like, they're all growing up into adults, and so because of that, the stories are going to get bigger, they're going to get crazier, but they're still going to remain to the heart of what makes these characters special for a lot of us. So season 4, thank you for rejuvenating that interest for a lot of people and having a really good adaptation of the Invincible War and many other storylines. And let us hope that season 4 doesn't take long. It won't. But also B, that the quality does not diminish and only gets better.
Yeah. And I believe momentum, they're gonna keep this, and they learn their lessons from season 2. But aside from that, make sure the subscribe button, comment, like, and share. Thank you for following us through all the episodes for this season and everything. But we got also more shows coming up that we'll be reviewing, and also films as well, coming relatively soon this week. We got Daredevil Born Again, we got other shows and films coming up and as well, so make sure you hit notification bell on your way out. All right, guys, see you guys next video. Peace.